Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Carol Moulton coming to you once again to Tea Time with Carol. And I am so pleased we've got a special treat for you today. So come on in. I'm pouring the tea. I have fluffed up the pillows. So I want you to come in, get comfortable. We've got a little chamomile for you today. So it's very calming. And hopefully our guests will be calming. I don't know. He's a high energy guy. So I don't know how calm we'll be. But come on in, get your chamomile, and we're going to proceed. I am so pleased today to have a special guest. I'm not going to hide the ball from you. I'll tell you who he is. His name is Joe Rivera, and he is a coach, like I am. And he's got a special story. He's been through some stuff. And he uses it in an I think interesting kind of way, in the way that he helps people. His story is significant. He was a high flyer. He was really doing well, 7 figures, that kind of good stuff. Ran into some difficulty and found solutions that just don't work for him, but he's able to transform not just his story, but help people along the way. So without further ado, Joe, so nice to meet you, and come up. Well, we've met before, but so nice to introduce you to the folks at Tea Time.
Thanks for the introduction. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
My pleasure. My pleasure. So I just gave a real brief overview about you. Would you want to tell the folks a little bit more about you? We know from the accent you're from New York, but tell us a little bit more.
Yes, I am from New York. Can't have the accent even if I tried. I went from Park Avenue to Park Bench. Carol, you said it right. And, I was 25 years old, making 7 figures a year. I thought I was on top of the world. I was putting in late nights at the office one evening, and someone told me, "Hey, Joe, you think you're a top producer now? Take this little round pill, and you're going to produce even more." I was already smoking weed, drinking, having some type of mood-altering substance in my body every day for the past 10 years at that point. So I said, why not? And that's when I got introduced to opiates. And that's when my battle with substance abuse took off to the next level. My life went dark and became completely unmanageable. I lost everything. I even almost lost my life.
Really?
I overdosed twice. The last time, it took 6 cans of Narcan to bring me back to life. 6 cans of Narcan. That same exact night, I'm laying in the hospital bed. I wake up, pull the EKG electrodes off my body, left the hospital against medical advice to go back out and use that same exact night. Talk about feeling powerless over drugs and alcohol. And then came a weekend that literally changed my life. My sister invites me for a self-help event. At that event, something clicked. I looked at my sister. She looked at me. We both started crying. She knew exactly what I was going to say. And then the words came out. The words, her and my family, they were waiting to hear for years. I said, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm living a shell of my true self. I was tired of writing my obituary. I wanted to begin creating my own legacy. And that's when I decided to go get sober. And, at that point was where it really started to click. Putting the drugs and alcohol down, that was the easy part. I had to really peel that onion back and take stock of what makes me and do the work of changing who I was from inside out. My attitude and behaviors had to change. I had to completely have a paradigm shift to go to that next level. And that's what I was able to do. Thank God. I was born and raised Catholic. Along the way, I completely lost my way. I thought, a relationship with my higher power, which is God, was our Father, Hail Mary, asking for forgiveness when necessary. But I realized that's not a relationship. I learned how to build a relationship where today God is my father, my brother, my mother, my uncle, my best friend, my everything. And when I put that spirituality first, everything else follows in pursuit.
You know, you have said so much there for us to unpack. We can spend the rest of our time just unpacking what you just said. But I want to go back to something you said initially, when you said something clicked, and that's what made the change. Can you talk about that? Because I know there are some folks who are listening today who are looking for that click. You know, they're struggling with something, and it may be pornography, it may be, you know, extramarital stuff. It can be a whole bunch of different things, but they know that life as it is right now is not working for them. So when something clicked, what did that mean for you?
Something clicked, and something came over me and just told me that it was time to put down the childish behavior of getting high, drinking. I mean, that's really what it comes down to, right? Because I believe when people, you know, use, they kind of stop growing mentally along that way, you know, and it was time to put that down. You know, I lost my mother. Life went dark and just became completely unmanageable. I really was lost for a good 4 years. So.
Well, thank God. Another thing that I want to ask you is about developing a relationship. You said you were raised Catholic. I was as well, Catholic school, you know, Mass and Latin, the whole nine. I think I can still recite it. But, you know, I came to the same point where I felt like I wanted a relationship with God and didn't know how to get there. And so I had some similar stuff, you know, and I think I bored my listeners to death with, you know, my story. But how did you develop? You know, we know that we find God in the valley, not when we're on top of the mountain, but in the valley. And talk a little bit more about the process of developing the relationship that you have now with God.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. You know, so it really began with me, and what really clicked and worked for me was to create a God of my understanding. Not what, you know, someone else says their God is, and this person says. It was a God of my understanding, a higher power of my understanding. I call it God. And literally just building a relationship, you know, like building it from the bottom up, just like any other relationship that we build, whether it's your mother, your father, your brother, your business partner, whatever it is. One of the top pillars of building any relationship is going to be communication. So I had to learn how to communicate with my higher power, which was God. And it started off just normal conversations, you know, and really talking to him, like if he's right there, you know, and having those conversations and building that trust and allowing that relationship to flourish and build, you know. And I mean, listen, I have so much to be thankful. I mean, I tried so many times to stop doing drugs on my own. It didn't work, you know. So it wasn't me that did it by myself. Yeah, I put the work in, but it was teamwork that I did, that I created with my higher power, again, which is God, you know, and teamwork makes the dream work. So I had to really build that up and put the work in, and that's when he started opening doors and moving mountains for me. And I believe that's how it works. I mean, that's how it's worked with so many different aspects of my life. You know, when it came to achieving sobriety, when it came to building my business back up to 7 figures, you know, because again, I lost everything. And now I've gotten it back and more, you know, so that comes from working as a team with what I call my higher power.
Absolutely. In terms of the practical application of what that looks like, I'd like to share with you something that just happened to me the other day. was in prayer or meditation Sunday. And, you know, I do the same thing where I have these conversations with the Lord, who really has an amazing sense of humor, by the way. You know, it's really funny. But I was just, you know, it wasn't even a deep, you know, kind of thing. It was just, you know, I'm here and just sort of talking. And I really felt the voice of the Lord saying to me, I want you to forgive everybody who's hurt you. And I'm like, are you serious? Thought I'd done that already. He said, serious. I want you to forgive everybody who's hurt you. So I'm like, okay, I don't know why, but okay. Because I've learned, you know, when you get those impressions that it's better to go ahead and follow directions. So I did that. This was Sunday. Yesterday, I got a call from somebody that I used to work with who hurt me tremendously. I can't even tell you, I'm not even going to go into all the things that she did, but it was a real, somebody that I trusted, who I considered my best friend. She knew my family. I had hired her. I promoted her. I did, you know, a lot. And she, when you talk about somebody putting a dagger in your back, I mean, she tattooed my back. You know, I mean, it was very, very painful what she did. And I left the job 2 years ago. Hadn't spoken to her, you know, in probably 4 or 5 years. And she called me. Now, if I hadn't done that release, I do not think I would have been receptive to the call. But because I had been prepared the day before, when I got the call, it was very pleasant. I mean, there was no residual animosity. There was no hate. There was no, you know, I was able to have a nice, and she had some good news, you know, some nice things that happened to her recently. And I was able to celebrate that without, you know, being ticked off about it. And so do you have anything like that where, you know, it's been a practical application for how the relationship works?
When you say a practical application, can you elaborate on that a little bit more?
Sure. Well, this, you know, what I was describing, I consider a practical application. You know, I followed the directions. And so when I got the call, I was able to handle it in a way that otherwise I would not have been able to handle it. I would have been real itty and, you know, very abrupt and not welcoming and not reflecting the God who's within me. I don't think I would have been able to do that if I hadn't received that direction before. So that's what I mean, how when God directs your path, you see the result. I mean, and that's just one example. I've got a whole bunch more of how listening to God really operates in a practical kind of way in your life.
Yeah, so, I mean, for me, it's all about being able to connect by being silent and listening and feeling for those signals and signs, you know, that he gives us. I mean, God works through so many different ways of connecting with us, you know, through people, through different avenues of life, through nature. And when you really are able to be conscious and aware of that is really where it comes into play. You know, I mean, I used to get up every morning and figure out where my next high was going to come from. And I used to, that was my morning routine. I had to change that routine to where I woke up every day, and now it's moments of gratitude and prayer. I mean, there's so much for me to be thankful for. I mean, there's times it started off as a thing from 5 to 10 minutes every morning. So there's times where it goes up to, you know, 45 minutes to an hour, because I have so much to be grateful for. I mean, God literally saved my life. So my question is, how do I reciprocate it back? You know what I mean? Like, how could I possibly reciprocate what you've given me? You've given me a gift that keeps on giving every single day, which is where, you know, me starting the whole platform for Reforge Academy and my coaching business really came from, was because this is my way of giving it back. You know, And if the more I give it back, I mean, let me tell you something, Carol. Whenever I help someone, I take someone to the next level, any type of empowerment. I hold or even if I'm just by holding the door open to somebody, donating to the homeless, whatever it may be, that feeling that God gives me, that euphoric feeling, there's no drug, no alcohol will ever replace that, So that's one way of me being able to apply it is literally empowering others. It's my way of giving back to community and also giving back to my higher power, which is God. It's the only way I can say thank you for. I mean, there's nothing else I can do to show my gratitude for saving my life.
Right. So talk a little bit more. I'm glad you mentioned the coaching. Talk a bit more, if you would, about your coaching and what that looks like. Who do you have a target audience? How do you coach? I mean, what's your process?
So what I do is I empower business owners and entrepreneurs from hitting a wall of exhaustion, lacking direction, by creating simple steps to achieve ultimate fulfillment and reforge their life. I do it through a proprietary process, which is through my 3-pillar system. It goes through growth, perseverance, and spirituality, and tapping into your intuition. Spirituality, tapping into your intuition kind of go hand in hand. At least for me, they did. And, it's a journey that I take the clients through. And it's really, obviously, as you know, you're a coach, right? The client's the one that really does the work, right? We kind of guide them through it and empower them to go through that. So through that process, they're able to get clarity on creating an action plan, having clarity on a target. They're able to overcome their perseverance, overcome obstacles through perseverance, I should say. And they're able to find their why. We kind of go into, how they could find their why, ways they could go about finding their why. Because a lot of people go around and they don't even know what their why is. They don't know how to find it, and helping them be able to live on purpose again.
Wow, that's good. Live on purpose. That's really good, because a lot of folks, I think, are struggling to find their purpose, and think it has to look a particular way, or they think it's like it has to be ministry behind the pulpit. But your purpose can be, like you said, opening a door for somebody and just being kind or giving a kind word. I saw a story today where somebody was getting ready to buy flowers for his girlfriend, and he had this intuition that instead of buying roses, he bought a sunflower. And he just happened to go in a restaurant, and as he was walking along, he said he didn't feel like he should give it to his girlfriend. He really felt impressed to give it to somebody else. And so he goes into this restaurant and he sees this woman who's crying, and he feels impressed to give her, this is a true story, he feels impressed to give her the sunflower. And she breaks out crying and just boo-hoos. It's the anniversary of her fiance's passing, and he always gave her sunflowers. And so she felt that was a message from her dead fiance, saying, look, I'm here, I'm with you, And so I'm saying all that to say our purpose can come. It doesn't have to be this big, huge ministry where you're preaching to 1 million people every day. It can be in the very small, the small, still, because you don't know what small act you do means the world to somebody else. Somebody who's broken, or somebody who just doesn't know which way to turn.
Yeah.
Do you find that? How does that resonate with you? Is that what you find in your coaching?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely find that, there's a lot of people that walk around without finding their purpose or their passion.
Yeah.
You know, for example, they'll settle for a 9 to 5. They believe is the only way they can provide for their family, or they're working a 9 to 5 where they don't get any fulfillment from.
Right.
That's not a way to live life.
Right.
You know, I believe there's another way to live life where you can live on your purpose and you can create your own destiny. You know, and that's kind of what I try to bring with Reforge Academy is for people to be able to reforge their life. You know, whether it's through their business, through their personal life, through health. I mean, there's so many different ways that you could kind of just reforge and kind of create that new path. And I just think it's important to have that, you know, that work-life balance where you're fulfilled with your work life and you're also fulfilled with your personal life, you know, where you're able to go out and do the hobbies that you want to do. And whether it's art, personal development, sports, you know, there's so many different things that could, you know, bring somebody that fulfillment. So, but you want to be able to have it in all aspects of life, not just in one, because if you're putting 110% into one area of your life, but you're only putting 30% into the other area of your life, guess what? That's not an equal balance.
Right.
You're not going to be fulfilled completely that way.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. There has to be balance. You know. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, if someone is interested in working with you, how would they get in touch with you?
Well, you could go to my website at www.withjoerivera.com. Okay. I'm on social media, and you know, you could go on there, book a session, complimentary session for us to get to know a little bit more about each other and see if there's a fit, and put some clarity towards the situation.
Okay, well, that sounds good. Well, you know, I'll run it. You know, I'll have it printed when the show airs so that people will have more, you know, be able to get more information and get in touch with you, you know.
Absolutely.
So, well, I think our time is just about up. I just really appreciate you have such a compelling story, you know, and I think that it will really resonate with a lot of people and hopefully encourage someone to reach out and someone to take that first step into making that change, you know, that can change their life, that can change their entire life. So, Joe, any last one? I'm going to give you the final say here.
Yeah, I mean, anyone who's out there struggling in whatever it is, even whether it's with a vice, whether it's, you know, burnout, whether it's just wanting to take your life to the next level, just always remember that we have the power within us to literally do anything we put our mind to and create our own destiny. You know, people say, oh, good luck, this and that. I don't believe in luck because I believe we literally do create our own destiny.
Well, thank you so much, Joe. That good words. We have the power within. So, Tea Timers, thank you so much for being here. This is Carol Moulton signing off. Until next time, remember, everything you want is on the other side of fear. Take care. Be blessed.